So you talk about that, and that's something that hits close to me because Michaela and Delassie are exactly 30 months apart, like 29 months and like 29 days, right? They're like basically 30 months apart, but they grow up like twins, like they're growing up together.
Right.
Like me and my sisters, I'm 5 years older than my sisters, so they were never in the same school as me, except for in elementary school when they went first and I was in 6th grade, right? But we always had different lives.
Yes.
But Michaela and Delassie really live in the same bubble, and that becomes contemptuous. So they have a thing with one another where Michaela will scream on Delassie and Delassie will scream on Michaela.
Yeah.
And I think that like that's kind of what you're talking about. Like when it's close in age, 1 year, y'all the same person.
Yeah, 13 months.
So then it becomes a fight for resources. It's like, oh, well, you got a hug, I need a hug.
It was the remote.
You got it, right. You got a remote, I want to watch my show. You want to watch your show, I don't want to watch my show type of thing.
All the time. And that really changed the trajectory of my life because I wouldn't have gone to boarding school. I wouldn't have been.
Had it not been for that.
Yeah, and I think about it, my mom, I left at 13. I never moved back home.
Wow.
So, she basically relinquished a type of mothering.
Yeah. Was it that bad though?
The physical abuse I've suffered? Absolutely. Yeah.
He's older, 1 year older.
He's younger.
He's 1 year younger. Have you guys reconciled that?
No. He had a lot of rage. My parents weren't together, but he's paranoid schizophrenic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There were signs early.
Right. Right. So you go to Piney Woods at 13. What's the dopest thing about being there?
Just
because this is like, what year is this? I don't want to ask your age, but what year were you 13? So in 1993. Okay, so 93 was hot. 93 was like right off Rodney King. Rodney King was April 27th, 1992.
Yes.
So yeah, tell me what Piney Woods was like.
Piney Woods was that's funny. It's funny to think about it because there is currently it's a documentary on Hulu called On Sacred Ground, and it's about Piney Woods. It came out recently, but it's so different. When we were there, it was all black, and there were maybe 300 students. And I didn't grow up in New York, so New Yorkers, y'all experience all the kinds of black that there are, right? You could be in one neighborhood they speak in Spanish, another neighborhood they speak in Creole, right? I never had that experience. So when I got there, and people had locks. And I could hear music from all over the world, really. Right. But everything that was hot in Chicago, in Florida, in LA, in Chicago, I learned all the dances and all the hot shit, at Piney Woods. So that, to me, the best part of it was I was up on everything that was youth culture from across the globe.
Right. So, but you're coming from the Bay Area, early 90s, Too Short, E40, Souls of Mischief. What's my man? Yeah, what's my man that was with Souls of Mischief? He was like the guy before, like the guy, and then Casual came out after him. The dude that was like Ice Cube's cousin, I can't think of his name. I could see his face.
I have no idea. Remember, I was a baby.
He did Mr. Dabalina. He did Mr. Dabalina.
He did. Before my time.
I'm gonna figure out his name. But you had all these awesome rappers.
Yeah.
And this entire culture in the Bay that was brewing from a hip hop standpoint, and then you go to Mississippi, which Lord have mercy. But you are entangled with teenagers that are bringing culture from all over.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I think...
Tell me about the exchange.
Yeah. The rec was the exchange. The rec was where, and I guess our dorm rooms, but the rec was where the parties were. So you had, whoever was DJing had to be up on music from all over. Right? You had to be able...
Because you had to entertain the crowd.
Yeah, we had young people from the Virgin Islands. We had young people from, Zimbabwe. Literally... Black students from everywhere, so you had to be up on the music, but that was where you got to see. It was like being, I guess they talk about the hill at like Howard. You know how you get to a certain place where over here are the jocks and over here. That was what the rec was like. So you got to see people doing a percolator from Chicago and light footwork, and then people were crip walking from LA on one side, so the rec was it. But then also in the dorms, there was one boys' dorm, which I know some brothers talked about it feeling like early prison, and I believe it. But the girls were really spread out. And it was there that you got to see how people would do their hair. and how people got dressed and the products that they use. And so yeah, I think for me, but I was very academic. I was a 4.0 student, and you know, that part of the education was really important for me also. So I guess the other dopest part about that school is that the educators that were there at that time were committed to us reaching our highest heights academically. So we were in competitions, we were in debate competitions and language competitions and whatever we could do in the South. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a beautiful time. And
tell me about traveling off the campus.
Oh, traveling!
You went off campus.
Oh my gosh, that was. I mean, you got good grades and you participated in extracurricular activities, so you could go off campus. Right. Mississippi is an interesting state. You know, I think at the time it was the second. It was like number 48 or 49 in terms of student academic success.
It's still like there.
Yes,
it's still in that space.
We had students from the Delta. And I think one of the things that really was powerful for me is that there is this societal projection that all people from the South are slow or dumb, not as brilliant and intelligent. It completely rocked my sense of that. Like I you know, people hear a Southern drawl and they have all these expectations. That it broke me out of whatever prejudices I would have, class issues that I would have, or any of us would have there, you know. But off campus, you were hit with the reality of the South, right? Where white folks and black folks don't really rock too much with one. I mean, that's no different than New York, but you know, like there were real lines of demarcation, you know. There was a real sense of, you know, there was like, upper middle class black folks who worked in a lot of universities or, you know, in various industry, but then it was very poor. It was very poor. So I feel like, you know, we went to Jitney Jungle to get groceries and jungle juices, and and I was introduced to Little Debbie snacks down there, you know. So
they probably had a plant in Mississippi.
Them
joints was fresh as hell.
Yeah,
they was coming right out the plant. Right, they wasn't going far. Them shits was coming out the plant. So I used to spend time down south, even though I don't consider Portsmouth, Virginia down south anymore. But when I was a kid, I considered it down south. And you're right about how, and especially coming from New York, you come from New York, you're so arrogant about your culture, right? Because you're like, I'm from New York.
Yes.
And I'm from Brooklyn. So it's like, I'm from Brooklyn.
And
right?
all the people who came from New York to Piney Woods were like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're so arrogant about your culture. But then when I started going to Portsmouth for the summer, just like you said, at first I assumed that these Southern draws meant that these people were stupid.
Yeah.
Or they had low IQs.
Yeah.
And then you juxtapose that with the living conditions because it is poor, right? And so you assume, oh, y'all ain't, you know. And that's not the case.
Nah.
You will get got out there because Southerners absolutely are not what you think they are.
What
right?
everyone projects on television.
And then even more so when I went away to Morgan State, again, New Yorkers think they the hardest. You go to Baltimore, spend some time in West Baltimore, you are not the hardest at all, right? So it's funny when I hear people kind of talk about their experience in the South, but you were in the deep South. Yeah, I was. I drove one time from Maryland to New Orleans, Louisiana. I went through Mississippi. I never stopped.
Oh, yeah. Highway 49 South.
Yeah, no would I. So you're down there until you graduate.
Yeah, and I graduate.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Were you going home for the summer? Were you going home on holidays?
Sometimes. But mostly I would go to my roommates in DC, or I would go to New Orleans for Bayou Classic, or, you know, I had the benefit of whatever was dope happening in the country, I could do it. Because I braided hair, so I had my own money.
So you had bread. Oh, you braided hair back then.
I was the only girl on campus braiding hair at the time.
But let me ask you this. Did your housing, your home situation, your home life, and then the distance, and then the experience, were you ever like melancholy about your position? Like melancholy about not having a closer knit household, melancholy about the issues with your brother and the fact that it kind of drove you into this situation?
I miss my mom. But other than that, nope.
Right.
Because I was in the center of a black young person universe.
Right.
I really honestly believe that. I think that the one thing, if anything, could be changed about that time was just that we didn't have the kinds of therapeutic services that we needed, because there were young people coming there whose parents put them on a train. They had no idea where they were going, and they end up in Mississippi, and because they had gotten into a fight.
Right. My father used to threaten me with that. I'm gonna send you away to boarding school.
Yes.
He used to threaten me.
And people were there because of that. Yeah. And that was traumatic for people.
Right.
You know, for people to have been dropped off in this place. Right.
Of course it is.
So I think that would have made a significant difference for a lot of those young people. I mean, if you got pregnant, you were out. If you talked too crazy to an adult, they would paddle you in the cafeteria in front of everybody. Like there was some corporal. Yeah. It was corporal punishment. Mm-hmm.
Wait, where?
We in the South.
Piney Woods in Mississippi. I love this.
Sorry, I'm talking to the people.
What did Sallomé want it to be when she was there? Who did Sallomé think she would be as a woman?
This is good, because I thought I was gonna be a fashion designer. That was
not
it.
Too far off.
I mean,
you designed the shit out of this outfit, right? So
I styled this. No, I wanted to be a fashion designer, and I thought, and I had it all worked out. I'm a planner. I'm a goal setter.
Right.
You know, I'm a dreamer, and I had, I knew I was gonna go to FIT. But that last year, I got there in the 8th grade, and all the people that got there at the same time that I did were in the 9th grade. So they were all graduating.
Right.
And I was like, I can't. That melancholy. I can't be here without the people.
Without my people.
So I graduated early and had no plan. It was like, what am I
do now? I can't stay here.
And I felt like I wasn't ready. I didn't get to do. I feel like, you know, all the things you do to get ready to graduate. You know, you do prom and you get a ring and you do you do all that stuff. Everything was rushed. So I just did a postgraduate year at a predominantly white institution in Massachusetts called Northfield Mount Herman.
What's it called?
Northfield Mount Herman.
That sounds white.
It is.
So you leave. Wait a minute, because you're wild. You leave Black Piney Woods,
super duper black,
and you go. Why did you go there? What? How did that become your trajectory?
Because the majority of the students were going to HBCUs,
right.
And I felt like I had been at one.
True.
And so if I was going to make a decision about the next 4 years of my life, I wanted to experience the other possibility before.
That's very mature of you.
I would agree.
That's very mature. Mm-hmm. So now you get to White World and how that.
And I don't have a coat. I was messed up in the game. I had never been in snow. I didn't have the right shoes.
Yo, that's crazy.
It was not necessarily a good look, but it was night and day. These kids, laundry was done for you.
Right.
There were 4 different cafeterias you could eat at.
Right.
It was like being on a college campus, right? And I was like, I don't know if I could do it. If the HBCUs are like 13th grade of my boarding school, and I have a choice, I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna go somewhere where they can give you some money. You know. So yeah, that Northfield Mount Herman was crazy. I mean, I was in class. You spent
1 year there.
1 year. I was in class with people who their parents owned casinos and
titans of industry.
Yeah, titans of industry.
Right.
And so it was a challenging cultural experience, but it prepared me to go to college.
What was the? I don't want to ask you what the most challenging part of it. I want to ask you what was the most interesting part of being there. Like, what was the thing that was like, wow? What wowed you about being at this white school? I mean, beside the cafeterias and shit, right? Because the laundry being done, but the culture. What about the culture wowed you?
There was a time when Northfield Mount Herman was a place where they sent indigenous children to be stripped of their indigeneity.
Oh, it was a cleansing place.
And so
it was a cleansing place.
They were attempting to absolve themselves of that history. So anyone who was native that wanted to go there could go for free.
So you went for free.
So I had checked that box because that's what I always did, and didn't know I was just going to be ushered into the native community there. And so the wow for me was getting to know my own history.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
so
very
you were
powerful.
With indigenous people.
Yeah, my dorm parent was Vicky Black Goat.
Shout to Vicky Black Goat. Wow. Okay. And what did you learn?
Well, I learned one that the tribe that I'm a part of, the Lumbee people, were denied their recognition by the federal government because they felt it was too mixed with white and black. So that was one thing that I learned, was like, wow, my people can't even receive the benefits. That was something that was really. I went to my first powwow. I really got opened up to the culture, the food, various languages. Yeah, it was powerful.
Wow, this is crazy. I did not know none of this. This is just wild. Like, what?
Yeah.
Did the school ever have to atone for their cleansing practices? Like financially or reparation wise?
Having those students at that school was
that was the repository.
Yeah, probably forever. Maybe in the charter.
Did you feel like your culture was respected by the white? Like, did you have acts of racism against you by white students?
That's a great question. No, but
outwardly,
that I could tell.
Right. Because on the low, they probably like, right.
But no, but I mean, like, but we could spar with any of them in class. Like, it was just,
intellectually, you were on par with them.
And they wanted all the music they played was our music at the parties, and all, so they in some ways they deified us.
Where were you when Tupac died?
At Piney Woods.
Tell me about that.
When Tupac died, those of us who are from Cali specifically, basically had vigil for weeks, if not months, that I was there, where we would play Pac day and night, except Sundays, because I was church. Right. Did I mention the part that it was a Christian party?
No, you did not mention that part. No.
Oh yeah, we were at Sunday school, church, and Vespers on Sundays.
Vespers. All day. Yeah. You got to be from the South to know what Vespers.
So we listened to Pac. We came together in each other's dorm rooms to cry.
Wow.
It was serious. I think a lot of his poster went up everywhere. Everybody wanted a little something. Yeah.
Where were you when Biggie died?
Same.
You were still at Piney Woods?
Still there.
Same thing?
The New Yorkers.
Right, but not really you guys.
I mean, for the rest of us, he was an important rap figure.
Right.
But for us, he was not political. Like,
right.
We look at Pac as someone who was attempting to really change something.
Right.
And Biggie made great party music.
Right. Who was, in your opinion, and this is totally off subject, but I think this is a great question to ask people, and you're the first person I'm going to ask this to. Tell me the biggest death of a black person that the death of a black person that affected you the most. What black person died that affected you more than any other black person dying? Let me see if I can answer that question.
Whitney Houston.
Oh, I can tell you the Whitney Houston story.
I was going to say Whitney Houston, but I was this is me being grown and being impacted.
Right.
I was taking it to my youth, but yeah, I would probably say Whitney Houston, which is like of all the black people that have died. Yeah, Whitney Houston. What about you?
I think it was Michael Jackson. When Michael Jackson died, that shit fucked with me. Like when Pac died, it was like, oh, okay, like you didn't. It wasn't a surprise that Pac was gonna die. Like he got shot, then he got locked up, then he got shot, then he was on life support. Right? When Biggie died, it was a shock.
Yeah.
But when Mike died, that was different because Mike spoke to the child in me. See, Pac and Big, they didn't speak to the children in me.
That's what Whitney did for us.
Right. I get you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, y'all say it. You guys saying Whitney made me think about Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Jackson's death was like Prince's too, though. I remember where I was. I was in the barbershop when Mike died, but I remember I was in Harlem at Melba's restaurant when Prince died, and I kind of had to walk outside for a minute, like. The world feels different when heavy souls like that leave. Yeah. Like I remember feeling like the sky looked different when Michael Jackson died.
When Michael Jackson died, I was at LIU Brooklyn hosting an event to celebrate Spike Lee. So, I mean, we had everyone who came that day was feeling heavy and looked at that event as an opportunity. In fact, I think the anniversary just passed.
Yeah. It was June 25th. Today.
Wait, it's today?
Whoa. It's today. Today's June 25th. Today's the anniversary of Mike's death.
Wow.
Yep.
2008.
2008 or 2009. 2009. Yeah, 2009. Yep. Yeah, I was in the barbershop and I got mad because I left the barbershop to go home. I heard about it in the barbershop. So, everybody's like crying and we start playing this music and stuff. Then I leave to go home and I had to stop and get something from like a Vim's or one of those stores, and everybody kept talking about it. And I remember being irritated by hearing, oh, Michael Jackson died. Did you hear Michael Jackson died? I kind of felt irritated and just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And to not have to be in the mix of this chatter about it,
Yeah, well, we we were in LIU in the amphitheater, and Nelson George was on the panel, and he was like, I just got off the phone with Spike, y'all, and we were about to do a block party. Spike hadn't done a block party in a long time,
right?
And we were gonna do one in his honor on the same block. And that summer he came home and did the first Brooklyn, and our event for him was Brooklyn Honors Spike Lee. Next thing we know, he does Brooklyn Honors Michael Jackson.
Right.
I was like, well, I feel like I contributed.
All right, so you leave the cleansing school.
Yeah.
Let's call it that because I can't remember the name.
Where do
you go to college?
Wesleyan.
Oh, you go to Wesleyan.
Where all the black
Wesleyan is right. Wesleyan is like if you went to Poly Prep in Brooklyn.
You
go to Wesleyan.
Yes,
right.
Or there's a bunch of like other programs.
Like Prep for Prep. If you went to Prep for Prep in the city, you go to Wesleyan if you're black.
I met all of them.
Right. How was that experience?
I was happy to be somewhere where I could practice my activism and organizing. And that's what that place was for me. Like, I started Blackout Day because my homeboys had been stopped by the Middletown police. Reparations was back in the news. So I was getting people to sign petitions. I was writing for the school paper. I had never written for their paper before. I was like, but y'all gonna get this op-ed. I started Poets for Revolution. Like, I really was trying my best to spread those wings. And that was when I did a semester in Ghana to study the transatlantic slave trade. And was there during September 11th. I was watching September 11th from the internet cafe in Cape Coast, Ghana.
Wow.
And could literally watched as Osama bin Laden got darker and darker on screen. You could see
see them filtering.
Yes.
It. Right.
The first time we heard everyone was like, there were bombs and and then next thing we know, no, there was none of that. Like so for me, I was like, wow, I'm seeing how people were emailing me like, are you okay? I'm like, it happened over there.
Right.
Are y'all okay?
Yeah, right. Are y'all good? Right.
But it was very, very hard to study the transatlantic slave trade, to go to Asin Manso in the last water where they bathed these African people before they put them in dungeons, and then to fly into JFK and there's American flags everywhere.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I
cried.
I cried that first yellow cab, and I got the sense of camaraderie and that New Yorkers needed to have, but I was like, this is all the same thing.
That's such a juxtaposition, because you're right. Because what happened was when 9/11 happened, New York City stopped for like a week. Like we didn't even have TV for like a day or two. Like we didn't even have television, right? And so enclaves built specifically in Bedford-Stuyvesant where people were just like, and then camaraderie. Once they turned TV back on, the programming was so immediate.
Oh yeah.
Them versus us, us versus them, right? And it created this, and then it was about the first responders, which is the same thing that happened with the pandemic, where New York has a way of marketing trauma by celebrating those who are more at the front line of trauma, not realizing that at the same time you had cops and firefighters that were killing themselves because of the level of trauma they faced in those situations, right? So that's so ill that you would say that, because I always thought that there was such a cosplay happening with regards to this nationalism.
Yes.
9/11 caused this nationalism, and at the same time, Homeland Security was formed, and they were just taking our rights.
Yes.
But it was like, yo, at a Jets game, you wearing a hat and not a flag, and it's like, yo, they bombed us.
Yes.
Right? So now you're saying you coming home from Ghana after learning everything you learned and seeing 9/11 happen, you fly in and you feel a sense of disgust.
Yeah.
For America.
Yeah, it was deep.
How long did it lay? How long did it lay in you? How long did it sit in the pit of your stomach?
It's still there. Never left. But you know, I came back to my last semester of college and I went on a rampage.
You was wild.
Reparations now.
Right. Give me my coin.
Period.
Right.
That's how I got introduced to Sister's Place in Bed-Stuy.
Okay.
The elders and the OGs, Omawale Clay, and rest in peace, Viola Plummer.
Yeah, rest in peace, Viola
and Roger Wareham, and
Roger. That's all those people.
They became my mentors, my teachers, and I traveled the country. I created an organization, Youth for Reparations, and we went to colleges and youth centers, educating young people on our role in the reparations movement, using hip hop. Right. We made a mixtape. Shout out to the mixtape, but it was on a CD by then. With all these reparation songs. Prince has a reparation song. Goody Mob has a reparation song. Michael Jackson. There are plenty of songs that reference reparations. Right. And so we just put them all on a CD. So the elders were like, yo, y'all gonna reach the young people with this, you know?
Right.
But that was a situation that I was in a relationship with the co-founder of my organization. And together, I feel like we were building something. But that work is it's heartbreaking. It's tiring. It wears on you. And I was young. I was right out of college, and I was like, wow, this shouldn't feel like this is changing the world is a hard thing. It's difficult. You know what I'm saying?
Running up against principalities and understanding that it's way deeper than connectivity. It's way deeper than I could tell you this. I could tell you this.
Yes.
And you leave me and that shit don't mean nothing to you, and it means everything to me.
That's right.
That's why when I walked in, I'm going to get into all that, but that's what I felt. Like, you feel like, it's like, shit, y'all don't realize this? Like, do you not see what I see?
They don't.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't see what you see.
Yeah, it's real. And I realize that I'm a researcher, and, you know, I would put the pamphlets together and, you know, all the visuals, but my partner was a poet. So anytime we were in front of audiences, I would push him forward to speak. And one day we were at Columbia, and this sister said, she's in the audience, and she was like, so I'm curious, why is this panel all men? And my then boyfriend, co-founder, points to me in the audience. He's like, because the women are pushing us to the forward. Oh, she had a nice long conversation with me. Okay.
Don't do that shit.
I was
don't do that shit.
Dr. Kira Gunn. Yes, she did. She was like, listen here. You put all this together, you need to be up there. So I think the reparations movement was where I found myself. I spoke at the Congressional Black Caucus sessions. I went from college speaking on it to a grown woman in the world attempting to make a difference, and it wore me down. It wore me down mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Yeah, it was.
What was the lowest point?
I think when I'm trying to remember the attorney's name. I know her name is Deirdre, but she was suing. There was a massive lawsuit at the time, and there was a lot of different companies. I want to say Barclays, maybe Chase, and they would not let the case move forward. And we had banked a lot on that case, bringing awareness to people like, yo, the banks we use were insuring enslaved people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of knowing these things and seeing that nothing was going to happen.
Right.
And the momentum, I feel like we lost a lot of momentum in the reparations movement. And it just, that was, I think Deirdre Lacey, I think is her name. That was the moment that really rocked me.
It's not really off topic, but a tangent. Call it a tangent. I want to hear your thoughts on FBA. Foundational Black Americans. And
also known as ADOS.
African descendants of slaves.
What do I think about it? That's the new term.
That's the new term.
I've been out of that's the new term. Out of the word. I think it is valuable to know what type of black you are, what your roots are, what your history is. I think that is valuable. Right. I think that if they ever handed out reparations in this country, that they would probably seek to identify that group of people.
Right. Yeah.
But that's as much as I think about it.
What do you think reparations should look like? What should reparations look like? Are you thinking like they should just cut a check, or what did you think then, and what do you think now?
What I thought then was that we needed a comprehensive, and these are things that have been done, a comprehensive look at where the state of black people in this country are, where we know the most needs are, and to funnel trillions of dollars into those areas. That was what I thought then.
What do you think now?
Write us a check. Because, and I think, who said this? Was it Dave Chappelle? His last stand-up that he just did, I think he ends with reparations. And how he said it, I feel like it's like how I feel about it. It's like, no, it wasn't him. It was Cat Williams. Mm-hmm. Cat Williams' last stand-up. He ends his stand-up by saying, listen, white people tired of hearing us talk about slavery. Write the check, and we don't have to have the conversation anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, it's done. And this idea that if you give black people a check, they won't know what to do with it, I don't think that that's true. Mm-hmm. Of course, you look at how we spend our money now. We spend our money in wild and crazy ways, but not everybody does that. Many of us are investing. Many of us are buying property. Many of us are, building businesses. Like, what could you do with $2 million if that was what the payout was?
I'm gonna be like Tron, Dave Chappelle's character. Remember Tron?
He's
like, I bought a whole truck of Newports, nigga.
That's gonna be you.
I think that how I thought then was cut us a check. How I think now is that a check won't repeal generational oppression. What will repeal generational oppression is give us some of this fucking land. Give me Mississippi, give me Alabama, and give me the entire infrastructure and money to maintain infrastructure. Give us the opportunity for our greatest black minds to come together in a space that's totally ours, without your influence, without your oppressive systems that create paradigms where we have to sell ourselves, and let us talk about what we want to do. But give me more. I need a piece of America. I need.
Well, why couldn't a check do that? Why couldn't a check?
Because if you give every black person $2 million, then, like you said, some of us will coalesce. Like if we all get our money, I'm gonna call you Sallomé. I got my bread. That shit hit direct deposit.
Exactly
what we doing, but we are. And I hate to say this like this, but we are elevated in how we think about blackness. What I'm telling you is I deal every day in these streets with black people that need to be inspired about what blackness is. See, you've been to Ghana. You've seen things that made you horrified about America. I deal with people who ain't never left New York City, and they're 17 years old. They're 18 years old, and the furthest they've been is the Poconos or Atlantic City. So their matrix about what is the potential of blackness is myopic. Right? And so you give that person $2 million, they don't understand. And it's not their fault. I hate talking like this because it's because of oppression. But oppression has people in a space where all they can see is oppression. Right? And so how do we educate those that all they can see is oppression to the beauty and the excellence and the elevation of blackness? We all know, we're speaking to the choir, but My
thing was giving people $2 million. there's still so many systems in place to prevent us in buying land or spending it on our
people still get redlined.
Yeah, it's like you give them, we get the money, but there's still so much holding us back from spending that in the right ways.
But the system is the system is the system.
Correct.
It's systeming. This thing is built on a particular foundation. Unless the whole thing is uprooted, that's not changing.
Right.
So in the meantime, in my lifetime,
Give
me my money.
Well, if you give me $2 million a year, I'm with it. Give me $2 million every year.
I don't even know what the number is, and someone does.
There is. What the 40 acres and a mule is worth today.
Yep.
They got the number. The number's there.
Yeah.
The number's there.
I also appreciate Terrence. What's Terrence's last name? Terrence
Howard.
No. Terrence Nance. Yeah.
Right.
And his HBO show, I think the second season of his HBO show was all about, they built an app for reparations where you could figure out who your white cousins are and
go after them.
Get your money.
I remember that shit.
Atlanta had a whole episode.
Right.
Imagine
if
you gave us reparations. Right. And so it's in the zeitgeist. Right. And so I feel like, to your point, we have to present to our people what is possible with that money. I feel like film and television can do that. People in the neighborhood can do that. But I'm like, give me a $500,000 marketing budget, and some of those 17-year-olds are going to make different decisions.
We gonna get them. I'm saying? We'll get them. Right.
So, but yeah, back in the day, I wasn't with it because I wanted to change the systems. I wanted to, have our medical industry not kill us, when we go to have babies. I wanted those things. But I'm like, this system is not, it's a system. Right. This is a system,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me about your writings. Now, you were a badass coming out of Wesleyan. You hit the streets, you for reparations, you running around. And I feel like, I don't want to say you were angry. I don't want to be presumptuous. But I feel like there was a level of anger that drove your passion.
That's
right? And sometimes that rage and anger drives passion. But then at a point, you become discontented with the thing.
Yeah.
And then, but you've always had a pen game. So tell me about your writing during those moments where I'm sure you were spitting hot fire like Dylon, but then after those moments, as you grew and developed who you were as a woman.
Yeah. I'm a journaler. You journal?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a journaler.
I journal dreams more than anything now. Like I will talk about this offline, but I map my dreams. Like there's some things about dreams I can tell you just from I wake up and I just start writing my dreams.
I love that. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, I started journaling, and I always journal, and I talk about how the Bay. I was born in the Bay, but I was raised in Brooklyn. So I was around what I would say is the Brooklyn Renaissance. I was here in the early 2000s, and I mean, everyone was still here. You know what I'm saying? This is before the exodus to Atlanta and back to Cali, and so I would take parts of my journal and type them, and then turn them into like chapbooks and hand them out to the people I was closest to at the time. So there's people, when I turned 25, I made 25 copies. When I was 26, I made 20. And there are people who know my most intimate thoughts and the way that I write. And I think that was a way of introducing myself to folks through my writing, right? But I would say it started really with having visions of what I wanted to see. So I wanted to see a Great Day in Brooklyn photograph. And to make that happen, you have to be able to communicate to Jamel Shabazz what you're trying to do, right? In order to get people to rally around Brooklyn under Spike Lee, you gotta present a compelling idea. So it started by me attempting to get support for the work that we were trying to do in Brooklyn. And I think, I believe that why I moved to Brooklyn was seeded. Spike Lee was my favorite filmmaker as a child. I don't know if many people know that he has books that his scripts are in books, right? So he would make a film and then have a book that goes with it. So I was buying the book. My mom was buying the books for me as a child. So I always was reading scripts. But it wasn't until I got to Brooklyn, was on the same streets. And a meeting with Nelson George really impacted me in a significant way, because he was one of the first people to believe in Spike when he was doing She's Gotta Have It. He didn't have the money to finish the film, and the editor wasn't going to give him his huge films back. And Nelson gave him like $5,000 to like get what he needed done. And so me knowing that, and him actually taking an interest in what I was up to, made me think, yo, I could really do something with that. But we all gotta have jobs. So I taught, I worked for a nonprofit, I helped put life coaches in public high schools around the country. And it was while I was there that I realized that it was the media, it was the videos we were putting out that were changing young people's lives. So you see yourself in a video that goes, at that time, our version of viral, and you start to see yourself differently. People were joining our organization because the videos of the people that worked there it looked fun, it looked dope, and I expressed to the co-founders at the time, I was like, listen, what does it look like for us to battle Disney? What does it look like for us to be right next to Nickelodeon? So that was where I was trying to pivot. And the organization lost all its money, and we all lost our jobs. And I felt like I was too grown. I was like, how I'm losing a job? Does this happen people's whole lifetime?
I'm a big old age.
What I'm saying? I got kids now.
Right.
And I went on a writer's retreat with Black Film Space, and that was the beginning of my writing career. And since then,
how long ago was this?
That was 2019.
Oh, so right here.
Right here.
Right.
Yeah. But then you think you're gonna write, and then the pandemic happens.
Right.
And everybody's at home.
Right.
And you're not writing no more.
You weren't writing during the pandemic?
I wrote one thing that we produced and shot.
Right.
And went on festival circuit with.
I know. I want to talk to you about that.
But I did 2 short films that I was very proud of, that we worked on during the pandemic, that got some traction. And that Ava DuVernay said something. She said, people want to be on a moving train. So do the work, do the thing, and the people will come, right? So that's what I did. I was using shorts as a way to show people what I was capable of when Dreamhampton called.
So before we get to It Was All a Dream, I want to talk about the film with
Layla.
With Layla.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of where you and I met, because we were talking about trying to screen it at Restoration.
That's
we
right.
never got the opportunity to, but we still have the opportunity.
We do.
Absolutely.
It's our film.
And Jessica was like, yo, you got to talk to Sallomé. She's dope. And then I would see you because... Were you a Little Some People?
I was.
Right, so that was the connection with us. I was seeing it, I'm like, wait a minute, this is...
Yeah.
She's a Little Some People parent.
Yes.
And we started building from there. I remember one time I walked with you down Tompkins. I was headed to Restoration. I think at the time I was working for the State Assembly office. And you and I had a conversation about the movie and about your work.
Yes, and what you were up to.
Yeah, and what I'm always up to something. But tell me about that.
But Tomorrow is the name of the film. It's a short film, 13 minutes. And this is remarkable for me to think about it, because my mom got Jet, Ebony, and Essence magazine when I was a kid. And I would read those before I would do anything. I'm trying to see Jet Beauty of the Week. What college did she go to?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there was an article in Essence magazine, August 1998, with the cover of this sister named Isis, who was a Deceptionette. So I read this article, and as an 18-year-old at the time, I'm like, why would a girl join a gang? I just don't understand. And the story stuck with me. So we're in the pandemic, and I'm trying to get source material, something that will inspire me to write. And the article I just thought about the article. I went on eBay. I found the issue, and I called my homegirl Cynical Smith with Bucktown, and I was like, Sin, I want to do something around the Deceptionettes. And she's like, I got the people for you to talk to. You need to talk to somebody.
Right.
I was like, I really want to talk about what drives someone to become a young girl at that time to join a gang. So I was able to interview the first Deceptinettes. And I realized I wasn't going to be able to tell their story. Isis made it very clear. She wants to tell their story, which was, yes, you should. But what I got from all of these women was they had crazy relationships with their moms. And I was like, that's the story. I had done a table reading for a whole other project, and Jessica brought Layla to read for the lead. Most of the stuff I write has a black woman lead or a black girl lead. So, and Layla read for this part. There were 2 girls who read for it. Layla read for this part, and I was like, even if she is not on this project, she is on a project.
Layla's phenomenal.
Okay,
she's phenomenal.
So So I said, I just told Lynn Q, who's the director of But Tomorrow, ma'am.
Right.
We have our lead to play in here, and she's like, let's go through the proper, we can get through the thing. Right. I was like, okay,
whatever.
All right, we can waste some time.
Right. Whatever.
And when she met Layla, she was like, oh yeah, this is her, this is Crystal. So we shot that during the pandemic. I think it was like the first 2 days of February. It was cold, okay? It was freezing. We rented a brownstone in Brooklyn and shot it in 3 days, and got Shirt Kings involved, and just made it as authentic as we could make it. And because Lin Q and Cynical were teenagers in that time, they could tell you how it smelled, what products they were using, what their bedspreads looked like.
They're both the perfect people for that.
This is the short story, the little girl, she took the mother's...
Yeah. Don't tell everybody. No, I was kidding. No, but it's the story of a teenage girl who's in the 9th grade getting to leave Brooklyn to go to Manhattan, for high school, and disobeys her mother and has to deal with the consequences. Yeah, and that particular film. So for me, listen, people are always like, oh, Tribeca and Sundance. I'm like, that's nice. That's not where I'm trying to put I want Black folks to see my work. So I wanted to be at the Hip Hop Film Festival and Urban World Film Festival and Pan African Film, like that Toronto's Black Film Festival. That's where I wanted these things to be. So when we had the opportunity to go to Essence Fest and show this short film, I was like, this is you can't script this.
Right.
And then we go to Black Girls Rock inaugural film festival, and we win everything because this is the audience. This is made for us, right? So when I met Jessica and Layla, and I was like, Layla, you are a star. You are. She was already singing and producing music, but now she's viral. She is blowing. Are you following?
Of course, she's lit now.
You see what's going on?
I wanted to have her perform at the thing, but she wasn't available.
I'm saying she was in Paris.
Yeah, she's lit. She's super lit right now.
Perform at the other thing.
She's super lit. I remember Layla was like maybe 13 or 14, and she had this like mixtape, but it was just beats.
Yeah.
And that shit was lit. Yeah, and I was like, wait a minute, this is your daughter? This ain't your daughter.
Acts.
Right.
Yeah.
She got it all. But she gets it honestly. But she got it all.
Yeah. So for us, like watching now, it's like we did extraordinary with that film. Due to music clearance, we haven't released it in any major way because that's going money. And we needed to be the vibes of that era. So you can't really, people try to like
fake it.
Yeah, it doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, it doesn't hit the same.
So if anybody got 30,000 out there, they're willing to swing our way.
When we get our reparations check,
listen, that's just
we get that $2 billion. When we get that $2 billion, it's all we up. We're gonna have all the soundtrack.
Everything. Yep. So so watching her blow up through all the platforms, YouTube, Twitter, or X, Instagram, TikTok, is like we knew. We saw this coming.
Absolutely, without question.
Prod Layla for the @Prod Layla on IG.
Without question. So this is what I didn't realize. I'm glad you told me that. I didn't realize that your arc into writing, into actual script writing, because you were the writer of this. I didn't realize that it was so new. It doesn't feel new. You don't feel like I'm new to writing. Right, but you're not though. No. Right, but you were new to that venue. Yeah. To that genre.
When I was ready to be a part of this reparations movement, like, I read every single book, every article. I'm reading lyrics and liner notes. Like, that's what I'm doing.
You gotta read. If you want to write, you have to read, because you gotta find your voice. You don't know what your voice sounds like until you hear others' voices.
Yes. Yep. It's true. Straight Outta Compton is a dope script to read. You know what I mean? Right. Like when what's the sister's name? Blanking on Hillman Grad. Tell me.
Whitley Gilbert?
No.
Freddie?
No, not the real Hillman Grad. Hillman Grad is you know who I'm talking about.
Denise Huxtable.
The Shy. Who made The Shy?
Oh, my homie, Lena Waithe.
Lena Waithe won an Emmy for her writing the episode where she comes out at Thanksgiving. That script is dope. Like, I learned to appreciate writers reading scripts from Atlanta. Just like reading things that I loved and I really appreciated was my way in, you know. And reading people who were writing that were like on my level, and reading their stuff and giving them feedback.
But you know what's funny? You said you read a lot of scripts coming up, right? So I'm a writer too. At the root of everything, I'm a writer, right? And so I was a heavy novel reader when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like 1984 and
same.
Beloved, but even shit like Flowers in the Attic,
okay,
and all those things were me reading this stuff, right? And so, you know, when I kind of set my feet in writing, it was a novel. I published a novel in 2009.
Dope.
But even
what's it called?
It's called Blow One Down. It's fucking
Blow
sick.
One Down.
Oh, it's an amazing book.
I like this.
Right?
Sounds good.
But even in all of my journalistic work, because like I was a columnist for Our Time Press and I was a culture editor for Heart and Soul. But the thing that made me so good about journalistic writing was that I would always look for the story. So for me, everything that I write skews as a novelist because I'm always looking to tell you the story.
Yeah.
Right? And to elicit a response emotionally from you because of the story.
Yeah.
And so for you, you're saying, well, you know, I grew up reading scripts. I never read a script in my life. Like, not until like I was an adult. Like as a kid, I wasn't reading scripts.
Right.
I'm intrigued now. I want to read a script.
Yeah, I would never read scripts, but I read Roots.
Right.
Right.
I got the novel in.
Right. I got the novel in, but I never read. So it's just interesting to hear how the trade work, right? So we talk about, you know, that 10,000 hours, right? Where you spend your time as a child with regards to preparing yourself for adulthood and how it manifests in adulthood. Yeah, and so it's interesting to hear that your mother bought you. I got one of those books too. I got it for free, like from Spike's people. Like
yeah. There's many of them.
Yeah,
but
never read it. It's in the crib.
There's a script in there.
Yeah, it's a script. I never read it.
No, yeah, but I mean, I was reading those books, but I was reading Reader's Digest and Essence and Ebony. It was less the scripts because, you know, it was like 3 or 4 of them Spike had released. It was more the magazines for me growing up and novels. So for when you talk about the story, I think what has moved me about filmmaking, television writing is I realized how much they impacted me. This is what I was going to say. I moved to Brooklyn because I was watching Spike Lee films. I was watching Living Single. I was watching The Cosby Show. All of that was supposedly based in Brooklyn, right? So it felt like I was supposed to be here. That's where all the cool black shit's happening, you know? Right? But also the culture was happening here. So when I got here and I would work with young people and they were like, couldn't wait to get out of Brooklyn. They're like, ooh, when I graduate, I'm leaving. I'm like, you do realize that the culture is created here. Like, and I realized they didn't know. They never been to Hip Hop Closet. They don't even know it exists.
That's what I mean.
They had never been to the 5 Spot. They had never been to, back then, Solomon's Porch. Like, and so we would take young people to one of these, you know, a place like this, have them sit down with a Marlon Rice and realize that not only am I in the center of everything, but I have access to these people that can show me another path, you know? So for me, it's always been, I've always wanted to make film and television that has you think newly. I want people to watch it and go, damn. You know, like, and to be moved.
Right.
You know, so I'm glad that you liked the film.
I really enjoyed it.
There are so many people who tell me that they grew up in New York and they see that film and they're like, yo, I felt like I could smell it. Like
it was shot that's beautifully. Every casting, everything was on point.
Yeah, that's it.
I do have 2 questions too. Okay. I love me some too. Asked where can she get that mixtape that you spoke about?
Hey, you know what? I have the actual CD as a part of my archive, but I don't think I ever digitized it. So it's in a bin somewhere. I'm sure I can find the playlist somewhere.
And then a style called Quest asked, what fuels your passion for writing now?
Knowing that there's a lot of crap on television and streaming, and somebody gave them some money, and so I have a shirt from Mess in a Bottle that says, keep doing dope shit until somebody recognizes it, and that's where I'm at right now with it.
Right. We both have children that are basically the same age. Both our kids, both of our kids are the same age. My kids are watching me, right? And I expose them to a lot. Like they've been on stage with me.
Yeah.
Right? They know what their father does.
Michaela on stage, baby.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that part of motherhood and parenting, because I feel like it's so important. Like Kaisha has 2 daughters and Raina is like in here, like she has captured what Kai has been her life's work. Yeah. She's encapsulated it, and it just seems so effortless. And I know I can see it, like you said, like Michaela wants to be her father. She wants to be a star. She wants to be outside. She wants to be on stage. She wants people to see her, right?
Yeah.
Dream's fashion sense is crazy. So now that you tell me you wanted to be a fashion designer, I see it, because Dream is always lit.
Yeah, she does her thing.
Always lit. Tell me about how you pass down you to your children and how they receive you. Like, what do they think mom is?
I don't know. Yesterday I had on a LeMay little bra top and a mesh shirt, and they wanted to ask the same question. Who do you think?
Who do you think mom thinks she is?
It's interesting to hear them tell people that I make movies, because it's new for me, but it's their whole world for them. Right. My husband and I, we know they're watching. So everything that we do, there's no like what we do in the dark. Right. You know? So right now, we just ended a Biggest Loser challenge. Me and my husband and some friends of ours and the kids, when they saw that it came down off the wall, because you know we visualize all of our goals above the television are our goals, right? And so they saw it come down and they were like, "Who won?" Right? Like they are invested in the things that we do. But I would say, my husband's an architect and owns his own business. And is always telling them that, you know, you either gonna have a job or you're gonna create jobs, you know, and things like that nobody was telling me these things. I had never heard the word entrepreneurship by the time I was 6. You know, this is, to me, parenting is fun.
It is to me too.
I'm like, it's a form of programming.
It is. Let me tell you. Look. So I just taught Delasi how to play around the world on like basketball. So around the world, the game, right, where you got to shoot around. Yes. This dude want to play around the world all the time. He wakes up in the morning, Daddy, can we play around the world? It's 7 in the morning. He comes home at night, Daddy, I want to play around the world. Like it is so fun to share yourself with them, and the kids are. I went into the yard last week. And you know where we pick them up from. We got to go like where they line up at. So I woke up on Michaela, and this is what I hear her saying. MARLON. To 2 friends. So I'm like, so I pick up, I'm like, why were you spelling my name to these 2 little kids? Why are you telling them my name? She said, well, Daddy, I want them to see you on YouTube. I told them what to search. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, she get me followers. She get my subscribers up. But when you say it's fun, it's a blast to raise
fun.
kids.
It's
a blast.
Oh my
gosh. Right.
I had
right.
I mean, but I was the kid who my mom had me in speech competitions and writing poems, and so when I realized Dream could memorize things, I was like, all right, Ego Tripping by Nikki Giovanni. Okay, you ready? Okay, Dream Harlem by Langston Hughes. Like, I was feeding them poetry as early as I could, and hearing them repeat it's just like, oh yes, I gave them that, or even the music that we play in the car. Like, at some point, Ibrahim realized they didn't know any old school hip hop. And he was like, oh, no, we're changing that, for like a month straight.
They get
That's
all
they got, It's beautiful to walk down Bed-Stuy streets and see murals, and they could name all the people in the images. The one on Tompkins.
The one on Tompkins. No, the one on Tompkins. I know what you're talking about. Ray by Fulton.
Yes, with Rick, Red Fox and Isaac Hayes. Yep. For them to go, I'm like, this is...
Right.
So for me, it's fun, but it's also paying attention to what they are naturally good at, and not wanting to force anything that is me on them, but have them be inspired by it.
Right.
So
and it's also about being surprised, because there's things that my children do that outright surprise me.
Yes.
We just had stepping up ceremonies. I'm in Delasi's class, so Miss Nisi's like, yo, well, this student is great at math, and this student should definitely be in second grade math right now. He's always somebody I call on. Delasi Mashariki writes. I said, get out of here. What? You know math. He got the marvelous mathematician. So it's like being surprised, because kids are also their own people.
Yeah, they are.
Right? And you don't know, because you're not with them all the time. That's when they're in school, you don't know how they connect with certain things.
That's right.
But this boy is marvelous mathematician. So, go figure.
She'll be doing second grade math.
Right. I thought I was helping you. Thought I'm helping you out, little man.
I love that.
Yeah. It's dope.
Yeah.
What's amazing to me is how they have you see their genius from young.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, now that they're older, and I'm talking to my mom, because my kids spent a lot of time with my mom, and Raina was always, my mother was like, she would immediately take all the clothes off her Barbie dolls and make new clothes out of napkins, out of fabric, anything that was sitting in front of her. Do-rag. She would make like wrap dresses with do-rags.
Yes.
And my oldest one, she wants to go to med school, and she was always, performing operations on her stuffed animals, or always walking around the doctor's kit.
Yes,
so it's like, watch them, watch everything that they gravitate towards, because I guarantee that if you just, like you said, guide them,
feed
in
that,
direction,
invest in that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's true. I see it, and I was committed to putting life coaches in public high schools, because I was like, these young people are capable of extraordinary things. We don't have to wait. So your daughter was in my daughter's fashion show on Legacy's birthday. And my daughter sold, I don't even know how many, 18 pieces. And to watch her in that mode of sewing hours at a time, and choosing which fabrics and notions, and being in the fabric store, and just being in awe of her. But what feels so good, is when you watch it all happen, and at the end, the kind of accolades that she gets from her aunties and her uncles and her friends hyping her up. Everywhere she goes now at PS11, people are like, oh yeah, she designs clothes. Like, this is what she's known as, or known for, right? That is that, but that was the first time I saw that Michaela is a model.
She's a whole model. Yeah. And she loves it. Like, she eats, and she has this phrase, she says, Daddy, I ate it up and something. Like, she got a thing. when she finishes, she'll be like, yeah, Daddy, I ate it up and didn't leave a bite, or something like that, right? But last year, this last Christmas during Kwanzaa Crawl, so I was hosting Kwanzaa Crawl, and Ifa Tayo had a fashion show.
Yes.
So I leave Kwanzaa Crawl and I go to Ifa Tayo's fashion show. Now, I was just coming off of COVID, so Michaela hadn't seen me for days, right? So I go to the Ifa Tayo fashion show, and she's like, I could tell that seeing me softened her because she was kind of like anxious, and it softened her. And so I took her home and we're walking, and she said, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, when you're on stage and you're in front of people, you don't ever get scared?" And I said, "I'm always scared." But that fear means that you are living in your purpose. God has designed you for this moment. So whenever you feel that way, you need to know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and that God ordained this moment. So you don't got to be scared, right? It's okay to be nervous. Daddy's always nervous. But I know I'm supposed to be here. From the time I told that girl that, now every time she's in that space, I see her own the space. Own it. Like she's
yes,
right,
whole
right? Even the fashion show they just did.
Yes.
Owning it.
Yes.
And to me, it's not about the fashion show. Like it's not about modeling. It's about learning to own your space.
Oh yeah.
And to have ownership over your space whenever you need to have ownership over your space. And I think that that's the lesson there.
Well, I mean, it's one, she's creative. Because there's a way to walk down a stage and she's going to give you 5 of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're going to get the spin. You're going to get the, you're going to get the, you're going to get
right. You're
angles,
going to get all of it. Right.
All of it. Right. But it's also, I have always experienced her as very quiet. And on that stage, she's very loud, even though it's not her voice. So it showed me that she's very self-expressed, just not in the way I'm self-expressed. You know what I'm saying? So I love seeing that. I love seeing her shining.
Yeah, I love their relationship. I love the kids of PS11. And this is Dream's second year?
First year.
Oh, so this is both of their first year.
Yeah. Yeah. We both did the
we had to get up out of there. Before we go, I want to talk about It Was All a Dream because once again you surprised me. When I saw that you were a part of this thing, it was like, wow. But of course, why not? Why wouldn't she be? But Dream is an amazing person. She's somebody who I've had the opportunity to meet and to speak to, and she has a very Dream is like a dream almost. Like she's very resigned in herself.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a chance to see this thing because when you guys premiered it, there was something that I was doing.
Yes.
Tell me about it though.
It Was All a Dream is an archival film. It's Dream's archives from 93 to 95. And she was packing her daughter up to go to college on the West Coast and found this box of tapes and was like, oh, I forgot I interviewed Guru. Is this an interview? So she's like experiencing her own archive, right?
Right.
So she sends it to Amir Lewis, who was at the time the one holding the camera in a lot of those interviews, who's now an editing professor at NYU, and is like, let's digitize this. Maybe we have a short film in here. And he's like, bet. So they start digitizing it, and they're like, short film? We have way more than a short film in here. And so she called to just say, I want to make a film. You down? She didn't have the story yet. She just felt like it was going to be, some type of verite. You're going to get, film school exposure. But what people don't know is that Dream came to New York from Detroit to go and get her degree in filmmaking at Tisch. So she was assigned a documentary class to make a doc, and she thought she was just going to make it on the Source because that's where she had worked for 18 months. And they started kicking her out of editorial meetings. They're like, yeah, nah, you can't be in. She's like, that's not how a doc works, y'all. And so she calls her then friend, Christopher Wallace, who lived around the corner from her, and she says, yo, I'm gonna fail this class. And he's like, just shoot us, Ma. And so she would call Amir at 2 a.m, like, we got invited to the studio, bring your camera. He was like that person that had a camera. They would go in there. So this is footage in the back of, this is Dream in the back of the car, driving down Washington Ave with Big East, rolling spliffs, cracking. People talk about how funny he was, but there's very little footage of him being funny.
Right.
But she's got it,
right.
This is footage in the hotel room. When they getting kicked out, because they were always getting kicked out of hotel rooms. This is her in a parking lot with Snoop, when the East Coast had said he gets a pass, he could. And so I had the opportunity to help her figure out how she wanted to tell the story. And for me, where I go back to the written word. So I'm like, where's the articles from when you wrote after you interviewed these people?
Right.
That is the voiceover that you hear on the film.
Is the articles that accompany the imagery. Wow.
And we world premiered at Tribeca, which was the festival we wanted to premiere it at, because it isn't, as much as she goes to LA, you hear me saying I wasn't there. It's just, they're in LA looking at Dre and Snoop and Lady of Rage and Ice-T. They spend most of their time in New York. And we wanted it to be shown in New York to start. But it has a whole festival run. The goal with all these films is to sell them. And so that's really what we're waiting to see who wants this. Yeah.
What festivals are you going to next? So
we'll be at Black Star in Philly at the beginning of August, in Berlin. I don't know the exact dates, but the festival run, you're getting updates. This was we didn't even, Tribeca came to us. We heard you have a film you're working on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny because it all was because the Greg Tate thing in Columbia had just happened months before this thing had dropped. And it just feels so nostalgic, so old Brooklyn.
Yeah, it is
all
old
of this stuff. Yeah, it does. Yeah. It really fees that way.
Coming back, it's all, that's what we do with our history. We bring it back.
Yeah. What's next for you?
I have a number of films I'm working on, actually, but I would say summertime is next. New York City summers is nothing like it. I look forward to being outside. We going to block party, okay? We're gonna be outside the 77th building, that's.
Did you come on the 8th? Did you come to Green Avenue?
No, I've been out of town.
You was out of town.
I've been out of town. But I'm gonna be here for the summertime.
Saturday.
I have a commitment. I'm not going out of town again. But we are working on projects with Dream. We're working on a doc about bell hooks. We are, rest in peace, bell hooks. I'm working on a film about home birth, a Brooklyn couple that has a home birth, and looking at how community needs to be involved in these kinds of experiences. Working on a
doula services. You any particular?
Well, no, home birth specifically, which doulas need to be.
Yeah, doulas,
Yeah.
I had a home birth.
You had a home birth? Yes, talk to me about
There's
it.
a reason why I mentioned the reason why I mentioned doulas is because there's you know an ancient song?
Yeah.
Chanel.
I don't know Chanel, but I know ancient song. Yeah. I'm working on a documentary about sugar called Sugar Free and what it does to Black folks and our relationship to sugar cane and molasses and diabetes. So sugar. These are all projects that I'm really passionate about because they're about my community. They're based right here in Brooklyn. But I have some narrative joints, and those, that's where you get to just play. You just make stuff up, and that's where I want to write. I want to write a reparations limited series. Y'all hear this? Where you open. It's the day that the Congress passes the law that says that we could make this happen, and that people are going to get their payouts based on their social security number. So people are waiting for the different rollout. I see it because I want to show people what it could look like, So there's a lot of projects I'm working on, and I asked a mentor a while ago. I was like, how many, who develops film and television, I was like, how many projects you have open some version of production at a time? He's like, let me open my spreadsheet. I was like, I knew there was a spreadsheet involved somewhere. He was like, 32. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Now
ideas are like that. When you ideate, they're like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
So I'm somebody who, though that's what I'm doing, what I do more of actually is helping other people with what they're up to.
Right.
Because this is a team sport, film and television.
Right.
Team sport.
Absolutely.
So that's a lot of what I'm doing is looking at people's scripts helping people who've made documentaries improve their story.
That's awesome. This was so good. What time is it?
It's really good.
Yeah,
I
this
want
was
to
so
close
good.
out in a different way, right?
Whoa, wait a minute.
Okay, I'm here
What
for
way
all
you
the
want to
jokes.
close out?
It's fun. It's fun. I got this new game.
Okay.
Hip hop trivia.
Okay.
Oh,
So new
Lord.
website, guys.
Okay.
So pick your topic.
Okay.
Check the rhyme.
That's a topic.
That's a topic.
Okay.
Big moves. Big moves. Burn Hollywood Burn or digging in the crates.
Pick your topic.
Burn Hollywood Burn.
Burn
I knew that
okay.
would speak to you. I felt that was the one that would speak.
Okay. Let me question. Let me pick it randomly. Oh, director Jordan Peele's 2019 horror film Us features a dramatic replay of a hit song by this hip hop group.
Lord.
I know it.
What is it?
You don't know it?
I don't.
I got 5 on it.
Oh, yeah, they did do
They
that.
killed that
They didn't even
shit.
wait for me to read
I don't
that.
need the choices. I don't need the choices. When they
They did do that.
let me tell you, I downloaded the soundtrack because
Wow.
of that.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
See?
it's so cryptic.
So
You gotta hear
One
it.
for Marlon, one for Marlon.
I did,
Okay,
I
so
did.
you can pick the next topic. Then.
I want to do digging in the crates.
Digging in the crates. Okay, yep. Sexy New Yorker said that too. Okay. Okay, let me
I love these
shuffle
IG
it.
names.
Shuffle it.
Sexy New Yorker.
What up, sexy?
Okay. Though Killing Me Softly was Killing Me Softly with his song was a huge breakout hit for Fugees. The song became a #1 hit for this singer in the 1970s. A. Roberta Flack, B. Shaka Khan, C. Minnie Riperton, or D. Stevie Wonder.
What's the first name you said?
Roberta Flack. Let's see, does anybody out there know it?
I know the answer.
You know the answer to that too?
Because it's been done more than
I'm
once. I
49 years
it's
old.
the
I know the
year.
answer to everything
It's
at
like
this
the
point.
year. I'm trying to think of
It's
the
the
year
old
that is.
head.
Right, that's an old head game. All right, Killing Me Softly.
Yeah.
The original.
It's not Roberta Flack?
It is Roberta
Yeah.
Flack.
Yes,
Of course it
Roberta
is.
Flack,
Of
Roberta
course it
Flack.
is.
Okay.
Look, Raina's right. Raina, this is an old head game. Right?
Okay. So we'll do Check the Rhyme next.
All right.
Check the Rhyme. I love this game. It's so much fun.
Because you're an old head.
Artifacts Wrong Side of the Tracks is dedicated to this element of hip hop. A. DJing, B. B-boying, C. Graffiti,
The Artifacts,
or
that's
D.
what I was thinking about.
MCing.
You know the answer to that?
Oh,
Ask the question again.
okay. Artifacts Wrong Side of
Wrong
the
side
Tracks
of the tracks.
Mm.
is
Okay.
dedicated to this element of hip hop. DJing, B-boying, graffiti, or MCing. You know this one too?
Yes.
I want to say Wrong Side of the Tracks makes you think of the song, the music. So I would say DJing.
It's graffiti.
It's graffiti. What's the chorus?
Artifacts. So the artifacts is Tame One. Rest in peace, Tame One. And what was the other guy's
Graffiti.
name?
Oh, look.
Eves.
Janway.
What's the other guy? And he's still alive. He's from East Orange. They from East Artifacts from East Orange, and they were taggers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was
Last
a tagger
topic
And MC. Yeah.
is big moves. Okay. In 1982, this actor comedian charted on the R&B charts with the hip hop parody song "Boogie in Your Butt." A. Dan Aykroyd, B. Eddie Murphy, C. Red Fox, or D. Robin Williams.
I want to say
I
Eddie
don't
Murphy
know that
because
one.
he came out with album.
He's been coming out with albums. Yeah.
But I don't.
And you
Yeah,
got
you
it,
gotta
Eddie
go Eddie
Murphy.
Murphy,
You
yeah.
didn't know that one.
I didn't know Boogie in Your Butt.
Boogie in Your Butt.
I didn't know
That
that was the
was
song,
what
but
you got
that
me on
sounds like
that sounds like I would have guessed Eddie Murphy, but that's
Sexy New Yorker, where's my door prize? Okay, so that's it. We're wrapping it up.
I like that,
Fun.
Kai.
This
I
is
like that,
fun,
Kai.
right?
Hold those.
Okay,
Yeah, hold
so you can
those.
find hip hop trivia
Yeah.
on hiphop.
I like those.
Yeah.
So this was dope. This was like an opportunity for us to get to know one another, right?
But I didn't
That's
get
it.
to know as much about you, so we
That's
gotta do this
all right.
again.
Yeah,
in a
we can
different
switch. We
format.
can switch
You gotta
roles.
Yeah.
We can switch roles,
It's
and that's the funny
silly.
thing. I sit here and I interview people, and I never get interviewed.
But I had questions, but you know.
We could talk offline.
Uh-huh.
I interviewed
That's
Kaisha
good.
before.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yeah. I never
All
get
right.
interviewed, though. I guess I'm not that
Oh,
interesting.
wait.
We gotta get somebody to interview somebody.
Okay.
What happened?
I was gonna say Sneaker Wars.
Oh, you want to play Sneaker Wars?
I already put these out onto the.
Oh, see, I won. So we do Sneaker Wars. So me and
Sallomé
Kai
won.
and sometimes Jay, when he's here, we all, we allow the guests to choose which of our sneakers were the flyest. But she already put those out before, so I win by default.
I feel like you put those
What?
out. Sallomé won.
You
Look,
won by
look at
default?
No, but normally the guests. But that's fine.
The
Eves
guest
can.
chooses.
The guest chooses, but Eves, you can choose. We got Eves in the house. Shout to Eves.
Yeah.
He's in the house.
I feel like I
Call
can
me
see
about my
you.
government.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, who is that?
You know.
That's because we went to high school together. When you go to high school with somebody, you know their name.
And
Like,
it never changes.
Right.
I learned something new today. Okay.
oh, you didn't know that was his
Did
name?
not know.
Wait a minute.
As
Let
long
me
as
say,
I've known
no
his
one
name.
knows.
What do you
No one
go
knows.
as?
Everyone knows me as human.
As human.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
I'm never gonna call him Eves again.
Oh, okay.
Well, never keep doing it.
I'm sorry. I'm not doing it no more. Yeah. So I told you this brother was one of the coolest brothers in tech, man. He's a year ahead of us.
I'm like,
He was
shocked
that
to
guy,
see
man. I'm trying to tell you, man. It's an honor to have
still
him
that
here.
guy.
He is that guy. He is that guy.
Janelle, Marlon proclaimed himself the winner. Wait, let me come out.
Always. What week don't I proclaim myself the winner?
Janelle,
All right, put it up.
who's the winner?
Who's the winner?
Janelle?
Who's the winner? Who's the
See?
winner?
Look, peep the pattern.
Just because you turn your foot that way, you trying to get the reflection.
All right, let me go see.
That.
All right, Janelle, let's see who's the winner.
Marlon.
Wait, no, we gotta give her a little bit of time because it's like
It's a little delayed.
But
You
yes.
need some color.
All right, we get.
We
that
good.
was really good.
I
Oh,
appreciate
yep.
that.
See, I like Kai's. Thank you, Janelle. That's it. I'm the winner.
Invalid. This was great.
Yo,
this
this
is
is
great. I'm
dope.
looking forward to us intersecting more from a creative standpoint.
That's
I think
right.
it's important. I think, I'm a firm believer in teamwork, right? And whatever I got going on, including and partnering and sponsorship and connectivity, I think all that shit is important. So just me and you having this conversation is gonna be great. It's gonna the vibration
Yeah.
that comes from it is gonna be great. So
The
Oh
ripple.
yeah. Look, it's Kai wins. Brooklyn.
I didn't mean that.
Sorry.
All right, we'll see you next Tuesday. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Appreciate y'all.
One love.
Peace.
One love.